A while back, during the height of a lot of what I go through, I did some research on the history behind psychology, and I found some information. But the timeline is where I was most. I mean, I do see it. I did learn that it started. The first evidence of experiment was in Egypt. But when the officially more in our language and our understanding documented, we've got 1879 was the first psychology lab. 1883, they had a lab in U.S. So I assume the 79 was the Egypt lab, but it couldn't say that. I didn't get. Maybe I'll even do some more research. I don't know. So you might have an answer before I do. Anyhow, 1883. I already said first in U.S. 1886. They start with documenting education. They even offer a doctorate. 1888. They start putting professors out in the field. By 1892, they're offering titles. They're offering grades. They're offering achievements. The first woman president of the APA was in 1904. Interesting. Well, there was other thing. I just it's coming in. I apologize. I don't know what else there is. There's more that I'm not involved in right now that was being discussed right there. Anyway, in 1896, they're stating functionalism. I don't know. I mean, are they getting evidences? Do they feel as if perhaps I don't know. When we talk functionalism, I think, have they ever considered the fact that they need to be ever changing in their perspective? Have they ever considered that a culture and history and financial groups, all of that seriously makes a difference in the understanding or science that you're discovering? 1896. Also, alongside saying functionalism, they set their first clinic. But this is where they were studying man, right? We were the science right then. 1896, we were the science, because evidence of that is 4 years after that, 1900. Boom, they're stating new science came out. By 1901, they were offering hands-on experiment in psychology. Is what's being stated, hands-on, because they're calling it. Oh, never mind. Anyway, don't listen to what I just said there. What was asked for there? Which one was this? Somebody went to WW, I heard. Excellent. Anyway, so 1901. Let me read this more efficiently. Manual of Experimental Psychology. So they've already been experimenting at this point, as you can imagine. They've got labs. They're all ready. So now they're saying they've got this manual for experiment. So they're telling you how you experiment. They're trying to be very specific in the way that you study. Why? Why were they being very specific? So now all of a sudden, 1905, 4 years later, they're tracking engagement. So people's interaction in IQ tests, and I'd like to know more about this. And apparently I did before as well. 1908. So again, another 3 years later, they're saying proof. I think it was a book, a mind that found itself. So talking about an improvement, and they weren't clear about what they were studying here, but I'm sure a lot of people could imagine what they think was going on in this area, and it would take a lot more digging to get definite answers. But anyway, 1909, so a year after the book, there's some analyzing going on because people are giving feedback after the book, right? So now they got more analysis going on. 1913. So another 4 years later, they're tracking behaviorism. So now they want more understanding from people. How did they offer so much information? Oh my gosh, la 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 la. You can just imagine, right? And then 1917, just like that, bam, World War I breaks out. What did they learn during this behaviorism? So then they decided that they want to interfere our energies in other countries, other demographics, different cultures. So, what exactly was going on here? 1920, all of a sudden, we've got the African American doctorate. So, studies are going on in different cultures, or is it to highlight a difference? Did we need something? I don't know. I don't know, because that's the way it's listed, right? So my mind goes in many different directions because of what I've been through. So I analyze this a whole lot different. 1920, and this is through the history of psychology, right? So now 1920, again, still same year of the African American doctorate. They're also studying the way that children are perceiving the world. So why are they studying the way children are perceiving the world? In 1921, separation and interpretations. So we start having doctors with varying opinions, other things being stated. People are separating in their belief behind the studies, but apparently still moving forward in those studies. 1925, they started treatment and mental health illness. Psychological and psychiatric is the way that it was stated. 1938, they were doing the electric shock therapy for psychosis. So in my thoughts, thinking universal, yes, I think a lot of the other studies that were happening. So when you think back then, they've got clinics open. There's a lot of stuff going on. World War, they had Army intelligence testing. Before the Army intelligence testing was being actually expressed that it was happening, it was happening before then. They were already, it's the stuff that got them moving. It's the way that they work in the world. They just let us know about it later so that it seems as if they did the right thing. That's kind of the way the world works. But anyway, so a lot of this, as we know, just was what it was. So then 1946, what was I getting at with the energies? Seems to be a lot of different discussions. If you could see back, you would know that I am going to have a hard time trying to get exactly to where I was in conversation with that. Interesting question. I appreciate the asking. Somebody stated just because, somebody said only because, somebody said yeah, but somebody said only because, somebody said yeah, but somebody said only because. And so 1946, psychoanalytic treatment of children. So they're literally testing, but children are the test tools. Basically, it's science, and they also come out with Mental Health Act passed 1949. So they started working on it through the testing of the children, because it was stated 1946 being the same year with the National Mental Health Act passed, but then the actual date of publishing wasn't until 1949. So that's where they decided through the children what was in the act. Which is quite something to see. But I mean, some people don't necessarily look at this that way, to see the obvious in front of your face. But I thought this was worth talking about. There's been a lot of interesting stuff in psychology and medicine, and we pay taxes to support these guys and stuff like that. It's an interesting world that we live in.